Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Imperial Diecast, and today we're going to be taking a look at this 1/24 scale Jaguar XKR-S by Bburago. So this is the 1/24 Jaguar XKR-S, and Bburago didn't make this car in 1/18, which makes this another Bburago exclusive for 1/24 scale collectors only, to make them feel special. That's kind of what Bburago has been doing lately by releasing so many new Ferraris only in this scale, like the Ferrari 488 Challenge I reviewed last year, but also the Roma, the Pista, the SF90 Stradale, the GTC4 Lusso, the Audi RS5, the Maserati Levante, the Lamborghini Terzo Millennio, the Porsche 718, the Taycan, the Ford Capri, and so on. I mean, Bburago has almost completely abandoned the 1/18 scale since 2018 or so, only making like one car per year in that scale, but this Jaguar XKR-S is an older Bburago model, so it's not part of this new series of 1/24s they have been pumping out recently. And one way you can tell this is an old school 1/24 Bburago is that it's not just the doors that open, the hood also opens, which is no longer a feature on 1/24 Bburagos, but we'll get to that in a second. If you don't have a Jaguar XK in your 1/24 collection, you can either buy this Bburago XKR-S or the Welly XK, which is sort of the bare-bones coupe. The XKR-S, on the other hand, is the performance-oriented, beefier and sportier version of the standard XK. So Bburago made this in 3 colors. Next to this white, they also made it in a metallic burgundy red and in a light blue. So taking a look at the front of the 1/24 scale Bburago Jaguar XKR-S, I think the XKR-S is not really a particularly good-looking model from the front, and you can't really fault Bburago for staying accurate to the real car. But what we do get, of course, is the oval-shaped Jaguar grille with the growler Jaguar in the middle, and this is an emblem that Bburago has done pretty good on, actually. And right next to it, we have the XKR-S logo. Now, above the grille, you'll notice that there's actually 2 air vents, and I actually painted these in black to make them look like real vents, because the real car has them, as you can see in this front picture here. But they were just like slabs of unpainted white metal when you buy this car, so I had to simulate the vents by painting them black. And as we move on further up, you will notice that the hood has these crease lines, and there's also additional air intakes on the hood, which weren't there on the normal street version of the XK. And again, I painted the vents in black to make them look like there's actual vents there. If we take a closer look at the headlights, they're actually done pretty well, because you can see that Bburago has provided them with the black trim around the edges. There's no peg in the middle, you've got chrome in there, and the bulbs are a little hard to see because of all the chrome, but it's still there. You get some details. And one more thing, flanking the main grille, you can see to either side are also these thin vertical grills as well. And these were also unpainted on the Bburago, but I actually painted them to make them look like they're real grills. The front splitter is supposed to be made out of carbon fiber, but Bburago didn't really do a good job in making it look realistic. The Jaguar XKR has a clamshell hood that opens up like this. And what you're looking at here is actually a pretty well-designed engine, although of course it's not really painted much. You can see that all the details are there, and this is a supercharged V8 producing 542 horsepower, which is exactly the same amount of horsepower as the legendary Jaguar XJ220 had back in 1992, and the XKR-S is capable of a top speed of 300 kph. It is also 400 kilograms heavier than the XJ220 though, so it's not as fast. But I mean, for a sports car, it is pretty good performance. In terms of detail, you can see Jaguar written in raised lettering on both of the engine blocks. And if you pay close attention, you can also see that it says here, supercharged, in extremely small lettering, which is really nice. We also have a little more details going on in the form of these valve covers here. A little mesh, although it's not really a mesh. I mean, the whole thing is just one big plastic piece. Windshield washer fluid with its cap painted. And of course the suspension struts. Gotta look at those air intakes as well. And that's about it. And taking a look at the side of the Jaguar XKR-S, you can see that these wheels are pretty wide. They are 20-inch wheels with like 6 double spokes in a magnesium kind of color. I think the car would have looked also really good with gloss black wheels, considering that the white and the black would like perfectly match each other, but it is what it is. Now, Bburago did paint the keyhole in black. However, apart from that and the underside of the mirror scalps that are also painted in a dual tone, white and black, they didn't really paint anything else, because these vents here up at the front is again something that I did, as I mentioned earlier. And okay, they did paint this fender scoop here, but they did a pretty poor job at it, because you can see that their black isn't thin enough, and it's just like, it looks really weird the way they painted it. But now, as we take a closer look at the rims, Bburago has had the habit of not installing proper hubcaps and instead simply leaving the center of the wheels, like where there's a pin, exposed. So what I did was actually printed Jaguar Growler logos and stuck them into the center of the wheel so that it looks like it actually does have center locks that are shaped that way. It's not a perfectly good quality print, but I mean, it's still better than nothing. You do get 5 lug nuts around it though, and if I turn on the flash, you'll notice that Bburago has provided us with brake discs and red brake calipers that say Jaguar, although they're a bit recessed and so they're kind of hard to see. And also here on the rear wheel, we get those red calipers. Taking a look at the back of the Jaguar XKR-S, I think that the back looks a little more simpler than the back of the Jaguar XK by Welly, especially when you look at these taillights, because the Bburago ones are simpler and the DRLs that are supposed to be silver are just painted on. I mean, this is not even a separate light or anything. Granted, you don't get any pegs like on the Welly, but still, I think the Welly lights look better than this. The license plate says I05TCB. Not sure why or what it means, but on top of it you can see a silver prowler. And of course underneath we have the chrome-tipped quad exhaust. And right underneath the taillights you can see that on one side we have the XK written, and on the other we have the RS written. Now, this being the XKR-S, you also get a pretty sporty looking spoiler, and this spoiler is made out of carbon fiber, so Bburago added that texture to it. You can also see that Bburago provided the tail end with 4 parking sensors. And finally, let's take a look at the interior. But before we do, I just wanted to show you that this gas cap right here is something I also highlighted in black to make it look a little more realistic. Like you can open it at any second. But as we move on to the interior, you can see that Bburago did provide us here with a door card that has some rudimentary level of detail. I mean, you can see that right here we have some buttons and a little bit of carbon fiber, but not much. And now as we take a look at the interior. The interior is actually done pretty well, starting from the dashboard texture, which has this sort of leathery look to it. And then we of course have the passenger side dashboard, where you can actually see that it says XKR-S, or just RS in this case. The air vents, or the air cons, have a silver trim, and up here we have another vent. And if we look at the seat texture, these are also quite leathery and look pretty good actually for 1/24 scale. As for the seats themselves, you can see that they even have some writing on the headrests, possibly saying RS. You have red seatbelt latches that have been painted, and then side bolstering also has some carbon fiber on it. And this being a 2+2, you can see that there are 2 rear seats, which are kind of hard to see because everything is black, but they're there. And there's also a little bit of carbon fiber texturing down there as well. Now, in the middle, we have a cup holder, or a dual cup holder actually, a little armrest, and then we have this chrome painted, I'm not sure what it is, some kind of automatic gear shift, I think. The center console does have a TV screen and some buttons, although there is absolutely nothing painted, so this could have been done better. And the center 2 aircon vents are also there. And now checking out the driver's side of the Jaguar XKR-S. You can see that the steering wheel has the Jaguar logo on it, and we've got some silver painted side buttons as well as the spokes. And then over there behind the steering wheel you can see that we have the instrumentation with the speedometer, the rev meter, and even a white car in the middle showing whether the doors are open or not. Down there we have the floor pedals, and apart from that though, there's really not much else to see in this black interior. And finally, taking a look at the bottom of the car, you can see that it says Bburago Jaguar XKR-S, 124, made in China. We have some transmission detail here, and half of the exhaust system is chromed out, the other half isn't. And here we have a fully chromed muffler with the quad exhaust. So that's about it. Alright guys, I hope you liked my review of the 1/24 scale Jaguar XKR-S by Bburago. And if you're interested in more Jaguars, make sure to watch my reviews here. Or perhaps some of its competitors. As always, take care, have a wonderful day, and this is Imperial Diecast, signing out.